Alright, hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to Minecraft Trains. We are building this train set, and it's taking a long time, but it grows ever more impressive by the week. That bunny is just staring at me. Um, okay, so we haven't got very much yet actually. We got to do the gold part of the cable duct underneath the track. I was thinking in my head about junctions and branches and where we're gonna branch off to the destinations, right? Because let me just hold on. Let me go switch over there. So according to that map, and if I find it on my other screen, map one. So you see, on the left-hand side, in the middle, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5. We need to figure out where those junctions branch off. So if we come back to Minecraft, so over to the north, for example, which I'm pretty sure is that way. In fact, let me just map it up. So, for example, one of the places that we want to connect up is this pyramid here, right? Right here, this one. And if we go back to the other map, 2-1 is, I've called 2-1 Necropolis on that list there, which is this. So presumably the train station, would we put it on the which side would we put it on? When there's water over there, we might put it like here, the train station. If you imagine the train station is back there, for example, then it would join up to the track around about here. You see what I mean? Maybe it'll make more sense if it joins up. Like around about here. So we might want to say remove this tree or something, and if we join up like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there. And remove this tree, and then we'll figure out where the rest of this goes later on. But for now, this will go this way. Let me 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hypothetically speaking, 3, 4, 5. Like that. And we get that there. And then we have 2 tracks. That's the wrong button. 2 tracks, one going this way, one going the other way. That joins there, that joins there. So if I just put that down, okay, it goes that way, I see. 1, 2, 3 there. 1, 2, 3, 4 there. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and etc, etc. So let me get a sign. A sign is gonna say from 2, 1 necropolis, and this is gonna say 221 necropolis. So it comes down this way and out this way, and this will be switched. So by default, this needs to go straight forward. And this also by default needs to go straight forward. Oh, that one just does that, because it's never going to be switched. It always goes out. This one always goes out. This one sometimes switches in to go to necropolis, right? So we need to also build the track this way. So 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. Oh, hey Wesley. Oh yeah. Oh, sorry. My bad. My bad. Okay, we're back here. My bad. I was doing this. Yeah. Okay. So this is were you here? Necropolis is that way. Anyway, one of the destinations is somewhere in that direction. And so we need to put the junctions in anticipation of joining that up. Hey, thanks for picking that up, Wesley. That would have been embarrassing and annoying for people. Not really sure how the wires go underneath here. I think the gold actually has to wrap around underneath, because the iron one can just join up here if everything lines up well. But the gold one will have to wrap around to the other side. Which, not entirely sure what to do about that yet. So Wesley, since you're here, I have been thinking more about racism. Do you want to talk about racism? And certain racist slurs? I have got a better explanation. Now that I've thought about it, tell me if you want to hear it or not. We don't have to talk about racism if you don't want to. Okay, so that's one of them. Okay, so the word nigger means slave in American culture. It is used to label someone as slave. I mean, slave seems kind of neutral. I guess nigger is also racism, but mostly it's slave. So if we think of it, if we replace that word with slave, and we think about how someone might use the word slave, when the slave master calls the slave slave, it implies a lot of things. It implies control, it implies oppression, it implies violence. You know, like when you say, hey slave, there's a lot of power there. I mean, we don't think about it that way, but it's true. It's true. Like, the word nigger came out of American slavery. Whereas, you know, when a slave talks to another slave and say, hey slave, the power dynamic isn't there. Whereas when a slave talks to another slave and says, oh, you're a slave, that's more of a solidarity thing, because they're both in the same situation, right? So when a slave says to another slave, hey slave, it's more like a shared experience. Whereas when the slave master calls a slave slave, it's control, it's power, it's abuse. So I think that explains really why the word nigger, like why, you know, white people can't use it but black people can. It's because historically, I mean, it means slave, and historically, it's been the white people who were the slave owners and the black people who were the slaves. And so, but when you think about it that way, you might also argue, well, slavery is kind of in the past, like with this, it's not quite like that anymore, and that's true. But that's where the word came from, and that's the power of the word. Still, I mean that's still a problem with the word today. Anyway, so that's my thoughts. If we replace it with slave, then I think it makes more sense as to why some people can use it and some people can't. It's because of that. It kind of makes sense, but I guess for us slave masters, it still feels weird when they say it because it's in the past. It does. I mean, the word, of course, is I mean, there's a lot of feeling behind it, right? Of course, there's a lot of feeling behind it, and I think you really have to try to put yourself into their position. Imagine yourself in a situation of slave. There's a book that I read relatively recently. It's called Roots. Roots. Let me look it up. Hold on. All right. Let me just digress away from Minecraft and into talking about slavery. Let me go find a browser window, and then let me go full screen browser window. Roots book. Why am I out tab? Roots: The Saga of an American Family by Alex Haley. Hi Kevin. So this book, if you're interested in a perspective of slavery from the perspective of the slave, this book I think is worth a read. Roots: The Saga of an American Family. It's kind of historical fiction. It's not entirely real, but it talks about a family of Africans who were put onto a ship, shipped over to the United States, and it talks about slavery in the United States as well. So I found that this book really kind of helps with thinking about slavery from the perspective of the people who are enslaved, and I think it's helpful to understanding the feelings behind what it's like to be oppressed like that. Anyway, all right. So back to Minecraft. Enough about racism. Yeah, it's a pretty big book. If you can find it in your library, that'd be great. But it's a big book. I think it's an interesting read. Okay, before I go too far out this way, I need to figure out where I'm going. Let me look at my map again. 2-2 is 2-2 is up here. Hi Kevin, welcome to the stream. Okay, this is 2-2 here. 2-2, and we need to eventually have a branch. I guess it will just come straight out. I was trying to avoid diagonal junctions, but maybe we're gonna have to deal with it regardless at some point. Yeah. 2-2 would... Well, it doesn't have to go diagonal. Wait a minute. Where was the... Oh, this is a diagonal junction. Where am I going? So 2-1 goes that way. 2-2... I guess we should skip the river. The problem with this one is that we have to dig through this hill. If we put a diagonal junction over here, how would we do a diagonal junction? We might just have to make it big, right? So it's 10 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 blocks diagonally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8. Speaking of books, I recently finally got around to reading your book and I'm over halfway. Hey, good Wesley. How are you finding it? It's really good read, although a bit hard for me because English is not my native language, but I really enjoy it. Oh, that's cool. I apologize. I apologize for it being a difficult read, and yes, it is. I mean, I mean, you read the foreword. I don't know if you read the foreword, but I say in the foreword, like, part of my ambition is to make people learn new things. So, and maybe that's a bit annoying for some people if they just want a casual read, but it's not a casual read, my book. But it's good that you're finding it a good read. I'm glad. That's good. It's good that you like a challenge. I mean, I feel like the best kind of book is you read the book, you come out smarter. Like, you come out clearly smarter than when you went in. I think that's what makes a good book, in my opinion. A diagonal junction. Okay, let me figure this out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think 5 is... I don't know if 5 is enough for now. Let me just put 5. Let me stop flying. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, learning new words is good. I mean, you say English is not your native language, but you're typing pretty well here. So it seems like you are ready for that challenge. You seem fluent enough to take on the challenge. I mean, thinking about racism and the word nigger, maybe it's time, or maybe it's useful, or it will be useful if we like reconsider all the contexts in which that word is used. I mean, in a lot of rap music, rap songs, they talk about being oppressed, or they talk about social injustices. And in that case, like, it's kind of appropriate, right? If you think about it, it's appropriate that, you know, they refer to past oppression, and to say that the oppression continues today. Like, you're not a slave anymore, but they still treat you as inferior. So if you're talking about that, then that word is, you know, it means the correct thing in that context. If you assume that it means slave. Okay, so 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, that's not even close to correct. I wonder if they still see it in that sense. Well, of course, everybody uses words a little differently. Like, not everybody uses the words in the same way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, that's the wrong. That's 6 and then 2. I think some rappers do. The more conscious, the more socially conscious, or they more so see it as a discriminating term. I mean, it's definitely a discriminating term. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The question is whether there's a bit more to it. than just discrimination. And I do think there is... Wait, did I mess this up again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is this much wider than it needs to be? Wait a minute. Oh, it is. It's 10 this way, not that. Oh, this is completely wrong. I did this completely wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. That's completely wrong. Redo. Redo. 1, 2. It's only 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think most people... Well, I don't know most... I shouldn't speak for most people. Never mind what I just said. I think, well, let's put it this way. The trolls who come onto my YouTube channel and start typing nigger nigger in the chat, they don't really think of it very much, right? They don't really spend a lot of time thinking about what that word means when they type it. They just think it's a naughty word. Oh, I'm doing edgy things, typing naughty words in chat. So, I mean, for them, it's not the most complex of issues. Okay, so the glowstone should be down here. The glowstones to be there. Okay, and then we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I wonder about American education actually. Like, what did they teach about slavery? Do they teach? I didn't quite remember where you said you came from, or if you said what country you came from. But you in Europe, right, Wesley? I mean, maybe comparably, like Western education teaches about Hitler, right? Hitler and the Nazis. It's true like that make it hard to talk about these subjects. It's true. I mean, they dumb it down. Belgium, right? I mean, like, how much do they teach about the Nazis and Hitler, for example? I mean, like, do they go into detail about the racist ideology and all the stuff that happened? I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, they killed 6 million Jews and they started a war. But, you know, there's a lot of social things. Alright, so... diagonal junction is a little bit awkward. Maybe we can... well...